So let's get on to this, the story, the sex goddess and the Miss Teton. Okay, there's a word in here I want you to remember, a line I want you to remember, and I'm going to say it twice. Lieutenant, junior grade, Naval Special Investigator, Oscar L. Hampel. Okay, here's the second time I want you to remember. Lieutenant, junior grade, Naval Special Investigator, Oscar L. Hampel. Well, it just so happened that my husband, who rose from the ranks of enlisted seamen all the way up now, has made lieutenant junior grade in the Navy. And at the same time, he was given shore duty with NIS, which now is NCIS since 1990, and you'll remember that from the television program. And so his new title that I teased him about often was Lieutenant Junior Grade Naval Special Investigator Oscar L. Hampel. Well, with both of these things happening, we had to have a celebration. So we went out. We went out and had a great time. And I just kept teasing him and calling him Lieutenant Junior Grade Naval Special Investigator Oscar L. Hampel. And pretty soon, that teasing turned into a very funny and mind-blowing night of passion. Now, that part's in my book, so I'm not going to tell you about it. You're going to have to read that, so you'll have to wait to read about it. But I'm going to tell you about what happened after. It was quite a night we had that night. It rocked both of our worlds. And this is what happened as a result. From there on, all couples have triggers. Bud's trigger for me when he was feeling amorous was to kiss the side of my neck. And mine after that night was just saying, Lieutenant Junior Grade Naval Special Investigator Oscar L. Hampel. Say that, and he was off running to the bedroom. But as months went by, we sort of forgot about it. Meanwhile, Bud rose up the ladder quickly in NIS. Being military and a marksman, he trained a civilian drug bust team and was doing a lot of weekend drug busts. This was all on shore duty. Between the training and the night drug house raids, he earned a lot of comp time, so he took up golf. Wednesday afternoons, I finished my hours at the Charleston Naval Shipyard Apprentice School at noon, and we'd meet to go golfing. Now, our golfing was relaxed and easy. My husband, however, was a natural on the golf course, and really quite good. When we would finish, before we'd pick up our boys, he'd always go by the golf shop, and he'd eye up this set of golf clubs that just came in. In fact, he drooled over them. He even went inside to try them out in the pro shop, but he never bought them. So I did. And with that, I bought the greatest set of golf club covers. Oh, on these covers, there was an anchor on each of them. Now, my husband being himself, Bud being Bud, very left-brained, spent hours stenciling on numbers for each of his clubs. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. But the prize driver, his special club, he put a stencil on with a big D, the star of his collection. Now, still left-brained, my husband always kept those clubs in chronological order in that prize golf bag, with the D-labeled club, the driver, first, always first. He carried that golf bag into the house with such pride, then displayed it by the front door, ready to go. Okay, Bud became well-liked at NIS, and then he started spanning out, and as he was well-liked, he was invited to play golf with the director of NIS and 2 civilian members of NIS that he trained for the drug team. They were serious golfers, and my husband joined them. Lieutenant Junior Grade Naval Special Investigator Oscar L. Hampel became a golf addict. I didn't mind. It made him happy. My man worked so hard, he deserved time out with the guys. But it became extremely competitive between the 4 of these men. Soon they put together a contest for bragging rights, not for money, just for bragging rights, a set of 5 games. Then the man with the best cumulative score was the winner, and my Bud was all in. So now we get to the story. the sex goddess, and the Miss Teton. Early that morning, I felt Bud quietly crawl out of bed to take his morning 3-mile run. He never missed it. But as I looked at the clock, it was way too early for him. He was already a morning person, but the sun wasn't even up yet. He bent over the bed, pulled up my covers, then kissed me on my forehead. I was a morning person too, but I waited until the sun came up, actually. Not this morning for Bud. He was up and out the door. Normally he would wash up and then come back to bed, but not this morning. I wrapped in my robe to go look for him. His golf clubs were at the back door this time, with the prize-winning driver missing. Looking out the window, I saw my husband, still dressed in his Navy issue running shorts, practicing his swing. He bit his lower lip, focused, and then hit the imaginary golf ball over and over again. I smiled and hoped the neighbors didn't see him. Oh well, it made him happy if they did. So what? Quietly, I walked out to him and then said, "Hey, Lieutenant Junior Grade Naval Special Investigator Oscar O'Hample, you want some coffee?" He swung his driver, turned, and then said, "Not yet, doll. I need to get the swing right. Be in soon." Watching him from the kitchen window, that short time turned into a long time. I laughed. It was so much Bud, so like Bud. He never did anything halfway, but this time was way beyond normal for him. This competition was important to him. Finally, he walked into the house and said, "Doll, I think I finally got that swing right. I'm going to kill him today. Can't wait." His smile was from ear to ear, and I couldn't help but laugh. "Do you want some coffee now?" I asked as I poured him his morning Navy mud. Without waiting for an answer, I went on. "You're really looking forward to this golf competition." "Doll, you bet your boots I am. I have the best scores so far. 2 more sets and I will have bragging rights to the wind," he said as he sat at the kitchen table. I smiled and sat next to him. "Good for you, Bud, good for you." He pondered the next question as he took a sip of his coffee, then asked, "Do you mind me golfing today?" "Not at all, Bud. You go and have a great time." "What will you do while I'm gone?" he asked as he reached for a breakfast bagel. "I'm invited for some girl time with Gloria. You know her husband. He's that Marine. The one you took the box of crayons to as a gag gift for his birthday party," I said as I shook my head. "Well, he deserved it, buying me nylon stockings for my birthday. He's a funny guy. But I'll have to check in on him later. Ask him if he needs any help. His mom isn't well." "You do that, Bud," I chuckled at the constant banter between the different branches of the military. But when needed, they had each other's back. Fast friends, the Marine and my Navy husband teased each other, but always were there first if the other needed them. "Well, doll, I better get in the shower. Don't want to be late for tea time," he said as he gently wiped down his prized driver, then placed it in his golfing bag. Soon the golf bag was at the door and ready to go. Bud was showered and dressed. Still way too early to go, he sat back at the kitchen table, tapping his fingers nervously, watching the clock with an eagle's eye. Surprisingly, our boys, now 3 and 5, were sleeping. This was late for them, but it was nice to have some time alone with their father. When their dad was there, I disappeared, and my 3 musketeers, Greg, Chris, and my big kid, Bud, wound up goofing around like 3 kids. I loved seeing that, but I was enjoying having Bud alone. Even if he was chomping at the bit to get to his golf tee time, he was so excited, and his enthusiasm was contagious. My Bud was happy, so I was happy. Why not? I loved this man. I loved him with all my heart, soul, and being. Time rolled on, and soon it was time for him to leave. Now remember, Bud always had to be 20 minutes early to any event. With his prize-winning golf bag in hand, he stood in front of me. I straightened his shirt, straightened out his shoulders, kissed him, and then said, "Go get him, Lieutenant Junior Grade Special Investigator Oscar O'Hample." He quirked me an eyebrow and didn't say anything, but he was off and gone. Our sons, Greg and Chris, and I walked across the street to Gloria's house for a visit. Instantly, my 2 sons dashed off with Gloria's kids to play, and then she and I chatted over coffee. I sat facing our home and in full view of the driveway. We were having a grand time talking when Gloria suggested, Linda, I'm taking the kids to the library for a kids show. A puppeteer who wrote a book. It should be a hoot. Do your guys want to go along? As the kids came down the hallway, my Gregory overheard Gloria, then pleaded, Can we, Mom? Can we? Can we? Gregory was in the 3 times stage. Everything had to be said 3 times. What was even more frightening was his little brother Chris echoed, Please, Mom, please, please, please. I counted 4 pleases, then chuckled. Gregory, I think you need to ask Miss Gloria if you may go. All polite exchanges done, I stood to go home to get my handbag. As I looked out the window, our station wagon pulled into the driveway. Do you mind if I don't go? I asked with concern. I wasn't expecting Bud for at least 3 hours, and there he is, going into the house. I don't know, Gloria. Do you mind, really? Go, Gloria said as she pushed me out her front door. Don't worry about your boys. We'll be back in 3 hours. Go find out what's wrong. I'll call you later to check on what happened. As I entered the door, Bud's clubs were propped up in their usual position, untouched, clean as a whistle, never used. Now I was concerned. In the living room, I found my golfer sitting on the sofa, shaking his head. Bud, are you okay? I exclaimed as I hurried to sit next to him. At first, he didn't say anything. Then he blurted out, It was all your fault. Surprised, I asked, What was my fault, sweetheart? It was your fault I missed my tea time. What? I exclaimed. How the hell is that my fault? I didn't care if you went golfing. I'm your #1 fan, so what's up? I stood with my arms crossed. It was so unfair to be blamed for his missed tea time. Indignant, I waited for him to say anything, but he said nothing. Finally, I felt badly for him. He wanted this golf competition so badly, and somehow something happened. My fault or not, he was my husband, and I was going to treat him well. I pulled him off the couch and hugged him. Oh, sailor, is that a gun in your pocket, or you're just happy to see me? I said with my own version of a Mae West tone. He laughed and said, See, doll, it was your fault. I looked at him in confusion. He pulled back, then continued. I got there and could not get out of my car. Now I was even more confused. Yeah, it was your fault, he said. My fault? You couldn't get out of the car. How was that my fault? Now he smiled that devilish smile of his and said, You said, Lieutenant Junior Grade Special Investigator Oscar L. Hampel, not once, but 2 times this morning. As I sat in the car, I kept thinking about that Friday celebration date, and I couldn't get out of the car without embarrassing myself. He started kissing my neck and then whispered in my ear, Where are the boys? I whispered back, Going to a puppet show with Gloria and her kids. Come on, sailor, follow me. I can make everything better, Lieutenant Junior Grade, Naval Special Investigator Oscar L. Hampel. Basking in an afterglow, I whispered, Bud, you could still make the last 9 holes of your golf match. He yawned and said, No, doll, I'd rather stay here with you. Well, we were surprised by a doorbell, and I poked Bud and said, Get awake, Bud, Gloria's here with the boys. He moaned and then rolled away. Quickly, I threw on my clothing, then ran to the door. But I wasn't fooling anyone. As our boys ran by and to their father, she smiled and said, Bud is okay then? Yes, Gloria, he's great. She laughed a knowing laugh and said, I bet he is. Gloria never brought that day up again. She didn't know, and she would not be tempted. If she didn't know, she would not be tempted to tell her Marine husband. If he knew, my Bud would have been the target of constant jokes. No, Gloria kept quiet, because like our husbands, we too were sisters. Sisters not by blood, but by marriage. We loved the men, and we loved the brave men that went out and fought while we kept the home. Whew, so that's the story of the sex goddess and the missed tea time. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back again next Sunday at 10 a.m. with another funny live. Remember, I'm trying to cast a spell on you. My plan You will fall in love with my family, then be even more appalled when you find out about our tragedy. I will weave my funny tales, all true, but not in the book. The book has enough of its own funny tales. You'll get a hoot out of it. Okay, so anyway, so I thank you for coming. And wherever you are, Lieutenant Junior Grade Special Investigator Oscar L. Hample, I love you. You wanted to tell everyone about that passionate night. I know you did, sweetheart. So, oh, stop puffing out your chest. But I wrote it for you. But wait for me, sweetheart. I'll be with you in due time. Save me a seat on your cloud and stop laughing at me. Stop it. I hear you, Bud Hample. Stop laughing. I miss that guy. So anyway, please, guys, take a look up at the website, lindajoheffner.com. Come out to my books page on Facebook, and we have a lot of silly business out there, and I hope people are enjoying it. And again, I am trying to cast a spell on you to make you fall in love with my family. So until next time, I'm going to wish you all the best. I'm going to wish you happiness. I'm going to wish you love. I'm going to wish you safety. And I'm going to do that by sealing it with a kiss and a big hug. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. I will see you again next Sunday at 10 o'clock. Thank you very much. Linda Heffner signing out.